judging. We're here in Canton at Trillium Brewery. We're doing a behind-the-scenes tour. Trillium does not usually allow people to take tours back here, but we're going to bring you behind the scenes. So,
welcome everyone. My name is Matt Garska. I'm the hospitality manager here at Trillium. I've been with the company for close to 4 years now. So this is actually super exciting for us to bring you guys behind the scenes because we do not do this to the public. As you can see, I'm wearing these psychedelic space goggles because in the end it's super dangerous. After production space, we don't, as I said, normally allow people to come behind the scenes. So welcome. This is a look at our Canton facility, which is actually our second production facility that we opened. Our original flagship we opened back in 2013 in Fort Point. It's much smaller. Definitely, those were our humble beginnings, which was really where JC Tatro and Esther Tatro, our founders, really took their passion for home brewing and brought it to the commercial level. But this is really our second phase of expansion. We opened up last December, so definitely coming on the 2-year mark here, 2 Decembers ago actually. And in this facility, you're going to see our purpose-built right here to your right, a 30-barrel purpose-built D&E production brew house. You can see Andy up there right now working on a brew. We're going to go actually check out our grain handling system, go around to see some of our fermenters. And then we will finish over by the packaging line, our new canning line that we just installed. And then we'll head up to the mezzanine to see some of the barrels. So, sounds good? Awesome. Yeah. Just be careful as you're walking by. You can actually get a quick peek. This is the newest addition to our Canton facility here. This is going to be our pilot system. So it's going to allow us to do some small batches using experimental ingredients and processes. It's going to be a 5-barrel system, so super small. This is actually kind of a miniature version of what we have over here. But this is literally getting, actually built out and installed right now as we speak. So the newest addition to our family here. So let's get here. It's quite noisy, so I hope you guys can hear. So as you see here to our right, this is actually where the brewing process starts. You can see some of the base grains here, so actually some of the general the grains that we use. We have 2 silos out front that hold the base barley grains that we use, both two-row and Pilsner. We use large amounts of those, so we keep them in silos outside. These are some of the specialty additional malted grain that we use in terms of our brews to start. You can see here, this is actually, this whole system in general encompasses our mill here, which is actually the orange kind of box there. But this is really where the first step of our brewing process starts. It's where we mill the grain down and actually begin the mashing process in our brew house. So this is actually started just as this single orange piece. We've kind of built around this to make it definitely safer, definitely way more efficient for our brew staff, our production staff, as we've continued to scale up and expand. So this is definitely, it's been a super exciting representation of really kind of how we've looked at start from kind of simple beginnings and slowly organically grow and expand not only our ability to produce more beer, but grow our family, our Trillium family, invest in the latest technologies and equipment to be kind of where we're at right now. You can see along the right here is our first line of 90-barrel fermenters. As I said, we used a 30-barrel purpose-built brew house. These are 90-barrel fermenters. We actually, as we come around to the other side, you'll see we're actually expanding even more so. We actually brought in addition to more 90-barrel tanks over here, we've just brought in some more 120-barrel tanks. So this is really some of another latest phase of our expansion to really maximize the space and really efficiently utilize the space that we have to produce the most beer for you. So can you still continue down here? So as you've probably heard, we produce a wide range of hoppy beers, in addition to sour beers, saisons, really awesome, fantastic, imperial stouts and darker beers, roasty beers. But for our hoppy beers specifically, we make sure that We store them cold at all times. You buy them cold, hopefully you drink them cold. That's what we want, as fresh as possible. So this is actually one of our storage areas where we store a lot of our packaged beer. This is the part of the tour in the winter that really stinks, but during the summer, it's a really nice break from the heat. You can see really throughout the course of a packaging week, we'll fill this up. This is where we store a lot of our hops as well that we use for our beers to the right. And then eventually, throughout the course of the week, we will empty it and kind of reload with new brands and new varieties every week, new styles. So, at our Congress Street location, which I'm sure many of you have visited, we had a super tiny refrigeration capacity. So it was a lot of manual labor, stocking everything up, bringing everything out every day. Thankfully, we're able in this space to use some fun toys like forklifts, scissor lifts, electronic pallet jacks, really make it a lot easier to move products around. And that's been really, like I said, this was one of the biggest upgrades from moving, is actually being able to have enough cold storage for all of our beers. But this is actually another one of the newest additions from a equipment standpoint, from a production standpoint, to the Trillium in general. This is something that we've been waiting for a long time. It's our brand new canning line. As you may have known, we started off for the first couple years exclusively packaging our beer in bottles, wine bottles, 750 milliliters, 25.4 ounces, and then we were really looking at transitioning our formats mostly for our hoppy beers, and now we've seen subsequently to other styles into 16-ounce cans. And so we actually started canning, I believe at this point, I'm trying to think of the exact time frame, but I believe a little over a year ago. We started off with actually a mobile canning company. Our friends from Ironheart, they were coming in and helping us kind of start the transition from bottles into cans as we were waiting for the construction and installation of our own canning line. This is a Leibinger canning line from Germany. This actually was installed pretty quickly, but we're just now actually being able to fully operate, 3 to 4 times a week, full canning runs. It's been quite the journey, but as you can see, this area is really at the heart of the cans, literally coming off the line into your cars every day. You can actually come around the side here. I said normally this is completely off limits, as I said, because there is tons of people around, a lot of product being moved around, and so it's actually a quite dangerous space. We have to be really careful, but you came at the right time because at this point we're towards the end of the day. Canning run has been completed for the day, so we come around here to the right. This is actually kind of where it all starts here with blank cans. This is the depalletizing unit. So the cans get essentially brought up to the top. They get brought along the top row. I don't know if you guys can see that top row. They go through single file. I'm sure many of you, if you've been on brew tours before, this is repetitive, but it's definitely, for us, really cool. We just got our own line here. So you can see all the cans go single file. They get rinsed out, sanitized with ionized water. They get dated on the bottom and get brought through into our 24-head rotary filler. You can actually see this line of cans here. These are the tops of the cans. This is where they basically get sealed on. The cans then continue down the line, so they are fully sanitized, sealed. At this point, unlabeled, unrinsed, so they get rinsed over here, they get dried, labeled, and then brought over right back down to where we started, to the pack tech machine, where they essentially get formed into 4-packs, and then they get formed into cases on the final step. And that's when our awesome packaging technicians put them on pallets or give them right to you off the line. It's been really exciting to see, every week, new varieties, new styles, and really our fans that we've been fortunate enough to gain over the course of 4 years, kind of waiting outside the door to literally pick up a beer that's minutes old, which is like such a cool, talk about for us, that is kind of the ultimate in satisfaction, to be able to have someone that is really enjoying a product that is coming right off the line minutes ago. So we can actually kind of walk upstairs now real quick.
So for anybody just joining us, we're taking a tour through Trillium Brewing Company in Canton. Usually the public isn't allowed to take tours, but they made an exception for Best Mass Breweries. And we're really excited to bring you back here.
All right. So I would say this is really welcome to our barrel mezzanine here in Canton. This is actually just a small portion of our barrel aging wild program for our wild beers. We actually have just in the past 6 months to a year been filling up a secondary facility up at 50 Hudson Road. It's about 30,000 plus square feet. With more barrels, we actually have a secondary bottling line up the street that we're going to be able to use to package all of our wild beers as well. But these were really the first additions to our mezzanine. These are 30 barrel foeders, handmade from Foeder Crafters of America in Missouri. They're really just beautiful pieces of art, really, almost. If you think about it, it's one of the only places in North America that actually hand builds these kind of vessels for brewing. And really, this is the passion project for us. It's a passion project, really. If you talk to JC Nestor, our founders, originally inspired, Trillium in general, originally inspired by a lot of the farmhouse brewing traditions of the old world, in terms of spontaneous fermentation, the change of seasons, the use of different ingredients in accordance with change of seasons. So, really, this kind of artistic process of putting wort into oak barrels with wild microflora and bacteria and whatnot, wild yeasts, and allowing them to develop over the course of years, using seasonally available ingredients and fruits and whatnot to create something that we believe is special and reflective of New England, and as I said, our region specifically. Trillium really first came about being served at JC Nestor's wedding down in Stonington, Connecticut, at Saltwater Farm Vineyard. And so that was the time where JC was actually a home brewer. He decided to brew some beers for their wedding, and that's where the Trillium brand came about. So when we decided to really create something unique to our brand, unique to our story, we decided to actually go back to the same vineyard where Trillium was first brewed, where they got married, and harvest some microbes, bacteria, and yeast off of some of the grape skins at the vineyard. And that is actually, that mixed microculture, which we consider our native strain of yeast, is what we use in all of our barrel-aged sour beers, wild beers to this day. So it's really cool to see, kind of the evolution of the story from when we were first doing, really from when JC Nestor got married to all the way down here where we're producing much larger quantities of something that contains something unique to, as I said, to Trillium and the story in general. We come down through here. Up here we have 16 of these 30 barrel foeders. We also have room for approximately 500 of these barrels. We have been slowly transporting many of these barrels up to our secondary facility up the street to make room for a number of other production-oriented sort of spaces in terms of literally just the work desk and other things like that. Not the fun stuff. That's why we really were fortunate to gain access to that secondary space up the street. Much more room. Much taller ceilings, and really, a way for us to, and super close. As you guys, if you've ever been here before, we definitely have a lot of neighbors here, which is fantastic. We're kind of like an industrial park, so to have the space open up like that, right up the street, has really allowed us to rapidly expand this part of kind of like as I said, the passion project of Trillium. One of the really patience is huge with these kind of beers, because you really need to be able to put something in a barrel that you know is going to be special, you know is going to develop into something wonderful, but then wait for 2 years. So you need a space where you can kind of really kind of lock it up, throw away the key for a while. Obviously continue to test it throughout the course of those years, but really this whole mezzanine area was one of the original architectural aspects of this space that attracted us here, because we did have the ability to kind of put some of these barrels and foeders up here, elevated away from our production space, to kind of allow them to age to kind of the appropriate time for this. We kind of come by here. This is pretty cool actually over here. You kind of get a cool view from the top of the mezz down into our retail space and over into the brew house. As I think I may have mentioned, this whole space is approximately 16,000 square feet from start to finish. When we started here, the joke was we actually played wiffle ball here because everything was empty. We had a team wiffle ball match, and we could not believe that we had so much space after having grown, moved out of Congress Street, which we were really, super small. And now you can see we are already filled up again, which is pretty crazy. You can actually come around here. This is actually a really cool basket. This little tank here, it's a 10-barrel tank. It was one of our original 10-barrel fermenters from Fort Point. So you can see kind of where we began. We started with 2 of those vessels. This has actually had multiple lives. It actually started as a fermenter, then became our cold brew coffee vessel. You can actually see, I don't know if you see the camera, but we call it Mr. Coffee. And now we've transitioned it to Mr. Native because we actually use it as a yeast prop tank for our native microculture. So you can see that's actually really representative of our growth over the course of the years, where we started out making beer in there, then brewing coffee, and now that's really where we propagate yeast. So it's pretty awesome. You can see a number, work with as many local artisans as possible in a lot of our projects. We've brewed beers in collaborations with local restaurants like the Public House, like Row 34 with Vicinity, and we try to work with as many local, as I said, artisans as we possibly can. We use Barrington Coffee, based out of Lee, Mass, and also they have a cafe in Fort Point in all of our coffee-infused dark beers. And you can see we've actually partnered with Bully Boy. We've got some of their barrels, a local distiller. And that's really been, I think, the 2 themes for Trillium from the beginning has always been community and family from the start. Still family owned and operated. We try to, as I said, work with as many different members of our local community and really bring people together for something that what's better than bringing people together than beer? I mean, that's kind of the, good beer too, right? You can see we have some high-res Portuguese sherry casks here, much bigger. We have all different kinds of vessels from all over the world. We have a lot of New World, like white and red wine barrels. We have some Old World white and red wine barrels. Like I said, some sherry casks. We have bourbon barrels. All sorts of different oak. And if you come here, 3 months ago, this was all barrels here, and as I said, we've been slowly moving them up the street to continue to rest and develop for subsequent months to years to allow for a little bit more production space here to kind of clear up some space. This is another cool view from the top. You can get all of your stuff here. You can actually see our taproom space from the top. We opened about a year and a half ago. Actually come over and see our brew house from the top. You kind of get a better view as to where our pilot system is being installed. You can see a bunch of our other production staff down there as well. As I said, you can imagine us playing football here. It's not a possibility now. It's pretty unbelievable. The ground. You ask how we get stuff up here. This is actually, we use a forklift to bring everything up, and then we've got an army of pallet jacks to bring everything around over there. So that's how we kind of get everything around over there. Alright guys, well, we've kind of literally come full circle. This is literally where we started here in the tap room. Thank you so much for joining us today. I can't wait to welcome you down here very soon. But cheers guys.
Thank you for coming along with us on this tour. We're so happy to have brought you behind the scenes at Trillium. They don't usually do these tours, so you got to see something you probably wouldn't get to see if you came in here. So yeah, keep up with our Best of Mass Breweries journey. We have one left to visit tonight. And thank you for watching.